Unwine with Teddy is live. Perfect. Perfect. Good evening and welcome to everyone to the Bear Cave. Shout out to all my Grizzlies. Yes, the mob. Tonight is Kevin Hart versus Miesha Shakes, TashaK, and The Complaint. I mentioned earlier that I was going to try to get a hold of The Complaint. And I did just that. Plus, I'm going to have a surprise or two. Fair use commentary. Let me just see if I can get this. Hope everyone is doing all right. And yes, I came on late deliberately because I was busy on doing some things in preparation for tonight's broadcast. So let's see what I can find here. Please hit the like if you don't mind and subscribe to this channel. Let's see who is joining me. We have Instagram Live tonight along with Facebook. And of course, you're on YouTube. So let me just see what I've got. Yes. A little surprise. A little surprise. I do. All right. So let me just say this. In addition to the complaint that I am going to cover, and it is 21 pages in length. So wait a minute. Let me just put this up for a second before I bring it up. Yes. So I was able to get it, and I had to purchase it. It wasn't that expensive, But I guess if I wanted to get all of the documents, it would have been, a little bit more. But the main one that I wanted to get for tonight would be the complaint. So I will be going through that. Let me go ahead and put this up and just say this, okay? Let me say this. Fair use commentary, okay? Let's put this up. So listen carefully. I am going to try and monitor the chat as best that I can. I did get permission from Unwine with TashaK. I did. That I can give commentary on her interview with Miesha Shakes. I have watched the entire broadcast, and I must say that she is rather convincing. The clips that TashaK shows on her Instagram post, they only do so much justice for her. But as I listened to her tell the story, and she was Kevin Hart's assistant, she didn't even realize what she might be getting herself into. And by the way, I heard someone on another channel make a comment. Well, we don't even know what she was paid. And I'm talking about his assistant, what she was paid, and why didn't she do this and why didn't she do that. She was not paid a whole lot of money. I'm talking about what Kevin Hart paid her. For the amount of work that she was doing as his assistant, to be there at his, let's just say, in the middle of the night, and she has children, or at least one child that I'm aware of. So I will just say children, because she mentions it. Kevin Hart calls her one night in the middle of the night. Well, it's actually very early in the morning, way past midnight. And he's out, and he's been, let's just say, spending some money gambling. And he is and I'm going to say allegedly, I need to say all of this. Allegedly, fair use commentary. This broadcast is for education, criticism, news reporting, and entertainment purposes only. So everything that I'm saying is either going to be backed up, with a legal document, and or it would be from the interview, and it could be third party, because Misha, she mentions other people. So, but she says everything that she says as she looks into the camera is true. Okay. Now, I'm not going to play the entire broadcast, and not tonight anyway. It's more than an hour and a half. Tonight, my focus is getting through the complaint, as much of it that I can. Okay. But I will play a couple of little highlights of it. And I will be looking to see if anyone is recording my video, playing this video, they're going to be struck. Okay. One, because it's material that comes from TashaK live.com. It's her pay-per-view, and you can pay $12 a month and get, a subscription, and you can watch it. I made some changes to the video, and what I mean by that is a little coloration, and I put banners on top of it. And I plan not to just play it and just let it go. So I think she understands what we've talked about, and why I want to. Yeah. So I know how she is about her material on TashaK Live, because if she doesn't give you permission, if she says no or whatever, she will strike. Mm-hmm. So I'm just giving that as a heads up. Okay. So I was saying, his assistant, Miesha Shakes, in the middle of the night while he was out, he gives her a call, and he tells her, and I'm paraphrasing because I'll get to that part, that he needs her to come and get him. So basically, she wants to know, well, has he been drinking, or can he drive, or, what's going on? Because, she'd have to get up, get her child, and get to him. So it would take a little time. I say that because also there was someone else who called him. And for a period of time, she listens, but she doesn't hear anything. And I guess it's for some minutes. So she goes ahead and she hangs up the phone, from what I recall, hangs up the phone. And as it turns out, someone else goes and gets him. But the reason for this is, like, why didn't he call his wife? Is because, one, he didn't want her to either find out, I'll just say, that he's, out gambling. I'll just put it in those terms, and spending money. So rather than to confront that issue, he calls his assistant. Also, when I say she doesn't get paid much money for the things that she does, is because she is really his assistant and expected to be available for a number of things, meetings and calls and talking to people and making decisions, helping him with a lot of things, logistics and that. But as I was saying, from the interview, my impression of her, she seems believable. And she says some very, very, very interesting things, kind of jaw-dropping. And so it's worth seeing that video. It is. Because just looking at let's just say the complaint, without hearing maybe that part of the story, her part, then, all you know is what's in the complaint. Also, it's, well, let me not say too much on that. Just yet. Let me come out to the comments and see who's joined me. And then I'm going to play just a little bit, and then we're going to get into the complaint. Okay. Perfect.
Fool me once, fool me twice. When you're hiding things, might as well be lies. Can you ever get it right? How long will I let this shit fly? Hit up my girls, pull up, I'm outside, waiting by the curb. Too upset to drive you, getting on my nerves. We gon' get lit on this ride. I look too damn good to fight. Don't expect me to come home tonight. Don't worry about me, see you in the morning. Bet you never thought that I would leave. Think I had about enough. I mean, hold up, you could call me on my bluff. I ain't coming, don't wait up. You won't miss this body. Too late, oh, I'm sorry. Bet you never thought that I would be had about enough. Hold up, call me on my bluff. I ain't coming, don't wait up. I ain't coming, don't wait up. Trying to get you to wake up. I ain't coming, don't wait up.
Okay. All right. So I got to tell you, this is the age of exposure.
It definitely is.
This is the season. We're still in fall and shit is falling off, okay? Shit is falling off. Winter ain't even came yet. Y'all out here in Hollywood losing y'all motherfucking minds. You like, bitch, the strikes done happen. The writer's strike, the actor's strike. Everybody is telling on everybody. And I fucking love it.
Yes. It needs to be told.
Because I'm tired. They be like, Tasha, how you get this? I'm like, you don't understand. Like, they want to talk.
So people want to talk. People want to tell their stories. She wants to tell her story because she says she has a story to tell. She does. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Hang on. Hang on. Hang on.
Can't ignore my intuition, baby. I know you're typing every game you try to play. You know you could get replaced, ayy. Cause I won't track around, no dead weight. Hit up my girls, pull up, I'm outside, waiting by the curb. Too upset to drive you, getting on my nerves. So we gon' get lit on this ride. I look too damn good tonight, and I just wanna have a good time. Don't worry about me, see you in the morning. Bet you never thought that I would leave. Think I had about enough. I mean, hold up, you could call me on my bluff. I ain't coming, no wait up. You won't miss this party. Too late, oh, I'm sorry. Bet you never thought that I would leave. Had about enough. All out, call me on my bluff. I ain't coming, don't wait up. I ain't coming, don't wait up. Trying to get you to wake up. I ain't coming, don't wait up. Gonna lead a drama, cause I'm too grown. Let you deal with that alone. I'ma get back when I do, don't call my phone and don't leave the lights on for me. Don't worry about me, see you in the morning. Bet you never thought that I would leave. Think I had about enough. I mean, hold up, you could call me on my bluff. I ain't coming, no wait up. You won't miss this party. Too late, oh, I'm sorry. Bet you never thought that I would leave. About enough. All out, call me on my bluff. I ain't coming, don't wait up. Wait up. Wait up. Why you texting, you still wanna lay up? Nope, no thanks. I ain't coming, don't wait up.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
You guys have no idea mentally what we go through. So when you sign up for the entertainment industry, you don't know, like you just think you're going for a job and to do the job. When someone like, for instance, Kevin Hart, when he has all his baggage in time, that takes a toll on you. Because that's the part you don't know that you signed up for. I just knew I signed up for the job. Why am I signing on to something else? So mentally, I need to talk about this because everybody thinks I'm crazy.
So you heard her say that. She signed up for something that she really didn't realize. And now that it's over with, people think, quote unquote, she's crazy. So she has to get her story told, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. And you know what? I said I was going to come out and say hello to a few folks. Okay. So I'll just say a blanket hello. Shout out to the mob. I'm going to play just a little bit more, then I'm going to turn to the complaint. and then I will come back.
But I'm not. It's what I've been through when I was working there.
I understand. First, we got Brother Bilal.
Yes.
40 years with the Smiths.
Mm-hmm.
Jada is hot. Sending legal papers before the interview comes out. Girl, I was like, you don't never respond. What happened? You know this motherfucker. That's why. 40 years. And he knows you too. And so the specifics, we got to get everybody's side, you know, and her side did match his side. You know, as far as the disagreement of why they fell out, she didn't really go into specific, but he did mention it. And so Brother Bilal does appreciate everybody's support. It's not easy going up against a machine, you know, and he said definitely you know, they are a machine. So the Smiths. And so the machine you worked for was the Harts.
Yes.
You said they had you having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, all types of shit.
Yes, I was not okay.
Kevin Hart.
Anika Hart.
Everything that I've reported on, you pretty much co-signed and it was like, yep, that's true. Yep, that's true. What made you reach out?
I felt like it is a time for Hollywood to hear this story, especially because a lot of people are locked in non-disclosures and they're not able to talk and protect themselves. Mm-hmm. But you have to protect the person you're working for. Where's your protection? When you speak out to someone who says they're loyal, there's no protection for you.
Right.
So I needed to reach out because I just feel like with everything that's been coming out in Hollywood lately, it's time for women to speak up. We've been beaten down emotionally for a long time. It's time for us to speak out.
Time to speak out. Time to speak out. Even with the NDA, she said, time to speak out. And I guess she had seen some things, or being the assistant, she felt it was time to speak out. Now, Vicky, Vicky wants to know, was she having an affair with him? Wow, that's a direct question, isn't it? You know what? I didn't hear anything about that. I didn't hear anything about that. But she did talk about other women and what she saw. She did talk about other women and what she saw. She did. So let me go up to the top, and then I'm going to start reading because there is quite a bit to cover. So you know what? It has, the story has pretty much everything. It has sex. It has all these allegations, extortion or bribery. Look at the complaint. Let me just put this up. Complaint for 1, civil extortion. 2, breach of contract. 3, intentional interference with contractual relations. 4. Invasion of privacy, public disclosure of private facts. Defamation. Kevin Hart, an individual, and Hart Enterprises Incorporated, a California corporation, is the plaintiff versus Miesha Shakes, an individual, Latasha Transrina Kebe, an individual, Keve Studios, LLC, a Georgia limited liability company, and what is it? Does 1 through 20 inclusive as the defendants. This is been filed in the Superior Court of the State of California, County of Los Angeles, Central District. Okay. So let me just do something real quick. Put that up. And something. All right. The case number is 23ST CV31516. All right, I will just start going through it. Plaintiffs Kevin Hart, and Hart Enterprises Incorporated, KEH, collectively are the plaintiffs hereby allege as follows. Parties: Hart is a comedian and actor who also is the chief executive officer of KEH or KHE and is authorized to act on the company's behalf. KHE is a California corporation engaged in various aspects of entertainment, industry, and related business endeavors. Plaintiffs are informed and believe and based thereon allege that all times mentioned herein, defendant Miesha Shakes was and is an individual residing and doing business in Los Angeles County, California, beginning in or around August 8th, 2017, and continuing through October 22nd, 2020. Shakes was employed with Heartbeat Productions, LLC, a KHE predecessor entity in various capacities, most recently as Hart's personal assistant. 4. Plaintiffs are informed and believe and based thereon allege that at all times mentioned herein, defendant Latasha Transrina Kebe was and is an individual residing in the state of Georgia and Florida who regularly transacts business in the state of California and county of Los Angeles, including in connection with the matters at issue herein. Plaintiffs are informed and believe and base thereon allege that at all times mentioned herein, defendant Keve Studios, LLC, Keve Studios, was and is a Georgia limited liability company which regularly transacts business in the state of California and county of Los Angeles, including in connection with the matters at issue herein. Plaintiffs are informed and believe that Keve is the principal of Keve Studios and that Keve Studios is responsible for content Keve publishes. Plaintiffs are informed and believe and based thereon allege that Keve, through Keve Studios, operates a website, www.TashaKlive.com, and is active on various social media platforms, including but not limited to Instagram and YouTube, wherein Keve specializes in posting salacious and unverified news, which is gossip about celebrities. Number 7, Keve has an established history of posting defamatory and otherwise improper content regarding celebrities. For instance, most recently, she was found liable for damages exceeding $3 million in a defamation lawsuit by the musician Cardi B. And there's the docket number. I may not read like every single piece of it. 8, plaintiffs are unaware of the true names or capacities of the defendants sued herein under the fictitious names does 1 through 20 inclusive, and sue said fictitiously named defendants in accordance with California law. Plaintiffs are informed and believe and base thereon allege that at all times herein mentioned does 1 through 20 are and were individuals, corporations, associations, or otherwise. Amen. Plaintiffs will amend this complaint to allege their true names and capacities when they become known to plaintiffs. Shakes, Kebe, Keve Studios, and does 1 through 20 are herein referred to collectively as defendants. 9, plaintiffs are informed and believes and base thereon allege that at all times mentioned herein, defendants, including those 1 through 20, were the agents, employees, representatives, fiduciaries, insurers, and or co-conspirators of each other, and that defendants were acting within the course and scope of such relationships and are responsible for the acts alleged herein and as proximate cause for plaintiff's damages. I'm going to pause for a second. Let me quickly look at the chat. Just want to make sure. What is this? Yes, I see someone put $30 an hour. That's the amount of money that she said that Kevin Hart paid her hourly. And when you think about what she does and being in California, that's not a lot of money. And I'm looking at the amount of time that she spent and the cost of living in California. She often talked about, kind of hinted, I wish I were getting more money, at least being a producer or something like that. California, it's very expensive to live there. Okay. Let me continue. Jurisdiction and venue. 10. Jurisdiction and venue are proper in the Los Angeles Superior Court because the defendants reside in, can be found in, and or transact business in Los Angeles County. The defendants' wrongful acts were committed in Los Angeles County, and the amount in controversy in this action exceeds $25,000. Facts common to all cause of action. (11) During the course of her employment with Hart and Heartbeat, Shakes served as Hart's personal assistant. In said capacity, Shakes was privy to certain confidential business and personal information regarding Hart, his family, friends, and associates, various Heartbeat personnel, and employees at other Hart-affiliated companies. So this young lady, she had access and trust with a lot of information, personal information about Mr. Hart, for which that's what she called Kevin Hart. She always called him Mr. Hart. As a result, Shakes appeared to be in a position to disseminate or confirm allegations about persons and entities regardless of their truth or falsity. Let me just, I had something else I wanted to put across there. I could do that. Okay, that way you can see everything. At least for now. So did you hear that last line? As a result, Shakes appeared to be in a position to disseminate or confirm allegations about those persons, entities, regardless of their truth or falsity. Now, realize lawyers, wrote these complaints, right? 12. Upon Shakes entering her employment relationship with Heartbeat, Shakes and Heartbeat entered into the certain confidentiality agreement. It was dated August 8th, 2017. A true and correct copy of the confidentiality agreement is attached hereto as Exhibit A. And those exhibits are at the bottom. Let's see. Let me just see where I'm leaving off. 13. Here's Exhibit A. Which you can see is dated August 8th, 2017. And let's see if it's signed. Looks like it's printed there. And you can see what appears to be her signature right there. We'll go over this. Okay. Well, let me go back up to number 13. The confidentiality agreement defined confidential information to include the following: matters concerning the business operations, business ideas, know-how, techniques, methodologies, and business relationships of any of the protected parties, with protected parties defined to include Heartbeat's owner, its officers, directors, shareholders, clients, families, friends, associates, and contractees, including but not limited to affiliated entities of owner. Exhibit A1A. 14. The confidentiality agreement further provided that Shakes expressly agrees that recipient shall not directly or indirectly, verbally or otherwise publish, disseminate, disclose, or cause to be published, disseminated, or disclose, herein disclose, any confidential information to any person, firm, or entity whatsoever. Let me just, so you can see that a little clearer. Okay, you have to just trust I'm reading across. Number 14. That seems to be all-inclusive, doesn't it? Whereas Miesha Shakes says that she found a loophole, allegedly, loophole in the agreement. Number 15. On or around October 22nd, 2020, Shakes, on the other hand, and Hart, on behalf of himself, Heartbeat, and all other Hart-affiliated companies, on the other hand, entered into that certain mutual release and non-disclosure agreement dated October 22nd, 2020, the NDA. A true and correct copy of the NDA is attached hereto as Exhibit B. The NDA called for Hart to pay Shakes $30,000 per year for a period of 3 years, along with other consideration. That's interesting. NDA called for Hart to pay Shakes $30,000 per year for a period of 3 years, along with other consideration. Number 16. The NDA defines as confidential information the following: private and confidential information which is not generally known to the public or readily ascertainable by proper means by others and is subject to reasonable efforts to maintain its secrecy pertaining to any of the following protected parties: Kevin Hart, his affiliated companies, Hart Enterprises, Inc., KHE Productions, LLC, KHE Digital, LLC, including their officers, directors, and executives, and Kevin Hart's family members, past, present, and future, and their affiliated entities, including their officers, directors, and executives. That covers a lot of people and a lot of businesses. Past, present, and future? Past, present, and future. You know what, Vicky? I had to pause and say, my goodness. It would appear. And by the way, I'm going to make this comment. You say, wow, she's done. If you think, and you being any of us, or I will just say, my opinion, what Cardi B's complaint was and what the story that came out, I don't want to say it pales in comparison, but in terms of having so much more, the allegations were, of course, they were heavy, and it was alleged that Cardi B had herpes and alleged that she used cocaine and alleged, that she did prostitution, and I will say allegedly. This one seems to have so much maybe just much more in terms of it's salacious, there's allegations of not just defamation, but extortion and breach of contract, different parties involved, and other allegations, and supposed witnesses to these allegations. Witnesses, other people who saw, I'm going to say allegedly, the comings and the goings, allegedly, to Mr. Hart's offices or place of business. And again, that would be, I guess you could say, speculation. However, let's just say, for example, the parking lot attendants and people who come and go into buildings different times of the night and, see things, see the same vehicles or see the same women or different women. Even for example, the designer, the main designer of Mr. Hart's interiors of his office, was asked by the assistant, Misha. She will say that she had asked for certain furniture to be exchanged out so that allegedly, we'll just say that Mr. Hart could be comfortable when entertaining, I'll just say, his guest in the office. One of the other things that was alleged to have been installed is a shower. Yes, a shower in his office. You know, he owned the entire floor of office, you could say suite, just an entire floor. So, he could afford to have everything, furnished off rather lavishly and accommodate his needs. Allegedly. Okay, let me continue to read, because these are the allegations that can be heard in the interview with TashaK, that his assistant, who would know, who would be close enough, who would order things, who was there. Yeah. And other people would see things as well. Now, LaDonna Brooks says, see, only a person with money will change out furniture for a specific company. And again, these are allegations. But you can imagine when Miesha was telling this to TashaK during the interview, it was like, wow. But not difficult to believe. Not difficult to believe because of the kind of detail that she seemed to be able to give to TashaK. In addition to what was on her phone, she could confirm some things. I will just say once more, allegedly. Mm-hmm. She talked about, for example, having to be asked, or I don't know how to say this, even expected, maybe that's too strong of a word, but maybe it isn't. Sometimes she would have to go behind him and pick up things from the shower, towels, clean up. And she said she would just throw things away. Like, just throw the towels in the trash bin. Yeah. So she saw things. Once again, if you listen to her, you listen to the interview, and you listen to the detail that she's telling, I know that's a maid's job. Exactly. And that was kind of the feeling that she got, like, wow. Like, I know it's like I'm your assistant, but I've got to do this too. Yeah. Let me continue reading. Number 16. The NDA defines as confidential information the following: private and confidential information which is not generally known to the public or readily ascertainable by proper means by others, and is subject to reasonable efforts to maintain its secrecy pertaining to any of the following protected parties. I've gone over that, okay? Hart Enterprises, KHE Productions, LLC, KHE Digital, LLC, including their officers, directors, and executives, and Kevin Hart's family members, past, present, and future, and their affiliated entities, including their officers, directors, and executives. Exhibit B 1.1.1, emphasis in original. 17. The NDA further provides Shakes shall not directly or indirectly disclose, exploit, or disseminate confidential information to any person or entity whatsoever. Listen to this, including but not limited to friends, family members, journalists, tabloids, television or radio programs, websites or internet social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, etc., all collectively third parties, or threaten to do so. You see that? Threaten to do so right here. 18. Shakes therefore had the duty to preserve the confidential information both as defined in the confidentiality agreement and in the NDA as confidential. 19. The NDA included any attorney's fee clause providing as follows: in any proceeding arising out of or related to this agreement or its enforcement, the prevailing party shall be entitled to recover all of his or her its reasonable attorney's fees, costs, and expenses incurred. Exhibit B24. 20. In or around November 2023, Kebe conducted and recorded an interview, the interview with Shakes, wherein Shakes made various statements regarding Hart, his family, and Heartbeat personnel and employees of other Hart-affiliated entities. So that was in or around November. So that would have been, what was this? She showed that on, I believe, debuted December 22nd. But she had conducted this interview and recordings around November. Notwithstanding the truth or falsity of such statements, Shakes would only have had the knowledge regarding such subjects as a result of her employment with Hart and Heartbeat. Such information necessarily would have constituted confidential information as defined by the NDA, such as information regarding alleged personal relationships affecting the employment status of personnel at Hart affiliated companies and subjects such as Hart's interactions with his family members. She was close enough to, it is illegal, to broach certain subjects to her. She was. She said she liked her. And wow. 21. The interview also included false and defamatory statements regarding Hart and certain legal disputes in which he had been involved. 22. During the interview, Kebe asked Shakes whether she was the subject to any non-disclosure agreements, which would have prohibited her from disclosing the type of information that was the subject of the interview. I'm going to read that again. During the interview, Kebe asked Shakes whether she was subject to any non-disclosure agreements which would have prohibited her from disclosing the type of information that was the subject of the interview. Shakes acknowledged that she and plaintiffs were in fact party to the NDA, but claimed that the agreement had unspecified loopholes that she apparently contended would enable her to escape the consequences of her brazenly violating her promises to the plaintiffs, and that the NDA and confidentiality agreements terms. So she was asked, Miss Kebe, ask her. TashaK asked her right here. At least that's what it says. And she acknowledged that she and the plaintiffs were in fact party to the NDA, but claimed that the agreement had unspecified loopholes that she apparently contended would enable her to escape any consequences there. What do you think about that so far? Let me take a look. Yes, they did talk about, well, I just saw a comment. I'll wait before I give any reaction to that one. Joanne, welcome, says there are times when some certain individuals thrive off of notoriety. Good evening, Jennifer. Jennifer says her job was not to like his wife, though. They weren't friends. She was an employee. true? You know what? Imagine you're an employee. You're familiar with the family, and you see things that you suspect might be going on. How's it going to make you feel? As a woman, maybe. As an assistant priority, that's your employer. Remember in the beginning of the interview, I only played, maybe a minute or two. Shakes said she didn't know what she was getting into, basically. She knew she was an assistant, but remember at the end, she was talking about the anxiety that she experienced. And maybe some of that could have come from having, knowledge of things that she did, as well as the pressures maybe that came with being an assistant to someone like that. I mean, just the pace of it all. You never know. Yeah. So she said she had to tell it. She felt it was time. She felt it was time. And I guess this is part of the exposure that is being mentioned in this, interview. Exposure of celebrities and that. Yeah. Let me continue. See how much I can get through. 23. In or around November 2023, an unidentified individual telephoned a Hart representative stating that the individual was affiliated with Kebe, that Kebe had conducted the interview with Shakes, and that the interview included information or allegations that the Kebe representative claimed would be damaging to Hart's reputation. The individual stated that Kebe would publish the interview unless Hart paid a quote-unquote ransom of $250,000. So that's how it's written. And again, a lawyer would have written that. It's interesting. They call it a ransom. A ransom of $250,000. In or around November 2023, an unidentified individual telephoned a Hart representative stating that the individual was affiliated with Kebe, that Kebe had conducted the interview with Shakes, and that the interview included information or allegations that the Kebe representative claimed would be damaging to Hart's reputation. The individual stated that Kebe would publish the interview unless Hart paid a ransom of $250,000. Now, what does that sound like? If that's true, what does that sound like? That sounds like extortion. If I understand the, meaning of it, I imagine it has a legal, definition to be sure, but on its face, it's kind of if You don't do this, then that. Yes. And it's something that is going to be damaging to him. And again, all of this is allegation. Who is this mysterious person? Who is this representative? A Kebe representative. Who would that be? "24. On or around November 17, 2023, Kebe posted a teaser for the interview on YouTube, and it gives the link, wherein she, along with Shakes, touted the supposedly salacious and damaging nature of the interview. I said it was salacious. So when I was thinking of how it would compare to Cardi B, for example, yes, they were serious allegations. But this one seems to have so much more. So much, it's more tantalizing and more, well, I guess the word is salacious, but even more so. I mean, it has, it's kind of like that saying, sex, I can't say drugs because I don't know that, and rock and roll, but that's just a saying, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It probably has everything but the, maybe not, I don't think of the drugs part of it, rock and roll. But let me tell you, I don't know what it doesn't have. LaDonna Brooks says, TK holding an interview hostage. I know. All alleged. Can you imagine that? Now, can you imagine that? I mean, really, I'm sitting here thinking about it. That an assistant would go and say, all right, she's going to drop this if you don't give her $250,000. Or it's coming out. Don't you think that she would be aware of what, or even that assistant, of the meaning of that? How that would sound? That's exactly what I have to laugh. It's sex, drugs, and BBLs. Stop it. What is this? Judy Cole, she needs to update her method. It isn't working for her, LOL. I'm no fan of Cardi either. I just don't like sex, drugs, and BBLs. I'll wait for all the court documents. Exactly. Thank you, Vicky. There hasn't been, there's so much more that has to be done, discovery and even a trial if there's one to be had. Witnesses would have to be called and, on both sides. So right now, for some, just by hearing, the complaint, there might be people out there just in the first part of the complaint that may say, she's done. That's it. It's over with. Everyone has, their right to their opinion. But don't you want to wait to see things come in? Like Vicky said, don't you want to wait? Vicky says, I'm Team Tasha. Wouldn't you rather wait? Jennifer says, I'm Team none of them. They all acted like fools. Now we have to wait for the fact checkers. Yeah. Let me keep going. Hang on. Let me get a bottle of water. Hang on. All right, so we pick it up. The teaser video clearly was intended as a threat to Hart that the more detailed interview would be published if the ransom was not paid. The teaser included a statement from Kebe at the 2-minute and 6-second mark. I think that's it. Yeah, that would be 2 minutes, 6 seconds of the video, specifically warning that when you don't pay, we have to get money by any means necessary. I wonder, could that be the two? No, it would be 2 minute and 6-second mark. I'll have to go back to that. 25. Hart and his representatives contacted the police and did not pay the ransom that Kebe was demanding. I wonder, was there any, evidence of that other than, someone saying that happened? Was there recording of that? Who was the witness? Who was the representative? 26. On or around November 22nd, 2023, Hart's attorney, Dante Mills, wrote to Kebe demanding that she cease and desist all of her legally impermissible actions towards Hart and that she refrain from publishing the interview. So a cease and desist went out toward the end of November, the 22nd, around that time. A true and correct copy of that cease and desist letter is attached here too as Exhibit C. In the case, cease and desist communications, in that one, Mr. Mills specifically advised Kebe that Hart had contacted law enforcement about her threats. Let's go to that. Exhibit C. Let me just see what number I'm ending on. It's 27. Okay, 26. Let's see what Exhibit C calls for. All right, so this would be Exhibit C. Let me put this up. Hang on. All right, let me go through this. This is from Mills and Edwards, attorneys at law. Okay. It was sent, or it's dated November 22nd, 2023. It was sent via email to Latasha Transrina Kebe to her Fort Lauderdale, Florida address. It says, let's turn down the music, make sure. The following. Miss Kebe, this office represents Kevin Hart. I am writing regarding your recent and ongoing violations of civil and criminal law, and to demand that you immediately cease and desist all such activity. You have already engaged in criminal conduct and torturous acts that would entitle Mr. Hart to monetary damages against you should he elect to commence civil litigation regarding this matter. To the extent that you do not cease and desist now, your liability for such monetary damages will increase, as will your exposure to criminal penalties. And you are no doubt aware, recently, someone on Mr. Hart's team was contacted by an unknown individual who indicated that he was affiliated with you and or your blogs. This individual working at your direction stated that you would publish a story on social media, the story that you contend would be damaging to Mr. Hart's reputation unless Mr. Hart pays $250,000. This, of course, constitutes extortion under Penal Code Section 518 and gives rise to both criminal and civil liability against you and anyone involved in your efforts to extort Mr. Hart. California's extortion law prohibits any attempt to obtain consideration from another through the wrongful use of force or fear. Penal Code 518. Your effort to extract payment from Mr. Hart by threatening exposure of information supposedly harmful to him is a textbook example. We have thus contacted the police and will be following up with law enforcement as we deem appropriate. You see that? We understand the story to be an interview with Mr. Hart's former assistant, Miesha Shakes, that supposedly includes scandalous assertions against him. We note that Miss Shakes has a documented history with law enforcement in matters involving other high-profile individuals. Whoa. In advance of your threatened publication of the story, you posted a teaser with Miss Shakes on YouTube. And it gives the link to that, which clearly was intended as a threat, sending a message to Mr. Hart's team that the more detailed story would not be published if and only if the ransom is paid. Now, doesn't that seem a teaser that would include something like that? When you don't pay, we have to get money by any means necessary is particularly damning and leaves no ambiguity that criminal extortion was your intent. In addition to liability arising from such criminal conduct, the threatened activity would constitute a violation of non-disclosure agreement between Mr. Hart and Miss Shakes that certain mutual release and non-disclosure agreement dated October 22nd, 2020, the NDA between those individuals. While we do not presently know the specifics of the story or of Miss Shakes' assertions, the subject matter of the story to which the YouTube teaser alludes would necessarily derive from information Miss Shakes gained while in Mr. Hart's employ, and thus fall squarely within the NDA's definition of confidential information. Any such disclosures from Ms. Shakes in connection with the story therefore constitute a clear violation of the NDA terms. To the extent that you were to facilitate such a breach of the NDA by publishing this story, you would be subject to civil liability for intentional interference with contractual relations, as well as aiding and abetting Ms. Shakes' torturous conduct against Mr. Hart, in addition to direct liability resulting from your own torturous conduct. We are aware of the fact that you have an established history of posting defamatory and otherwise improper content regarding celebrities and other high-profile individuals. For instance, most recently, you were found liable for civil damages exceeding $3 million in a defamation lawsuit by the musician Cardi B. You and your accomplices' action with respect to Mr. Hart are more of the same, in addition to being flatly criminal, as set forth above. So you can see in the way that they word that, in addition to what was alleged to have happened and found to have happened to Cardi B, they're saying that this is more of the same, in addition to being criminal, flatly criminal. Your adjudicated history of such misconduct is further evidence of your intent in this case, leaving no doubt as to your liability here. We also are aware that you have recently filed for bankruptcy protection. You should be advised that under Bankruptcy Code Section 523, debt incurred as a result of a debtor's willful or malicious injury to a creditor, here, Mr. Hart, is not subject to discharge. You will thus not be able to evade any liability for monetary damages to Mr. Hart that you incur as a result of misconduct described herein, which would not constitute dischargeable pre-petition debt in any event. In light of the foregoing issues, we demand that you immediately cease and desist all activity and public statements relating to the story and refrain from any publication or threatened release of the story. Please have your attorneys contact me to discuss this matter in further detail with that number. We note that the foregoing is not an exhaustive recitation of applicable facts and law relevant to this matter, and none of the above constitutes a waiver of any of Mr. Hart's rights or remedies with respect thereto. And it's signed. The cease and desist. There's a lot in here. Here we go. What page is this? Wow, 6. What do you think so far? I'm going to continue reading. I am. Because there's a lot of it. 21 pages. Yeah. Woo chow, I just passed out. I don't think I will get through 21 pages tonight. But certainly, we are beginning to see how this might, or how it's beginning to develop, this case around what is supposed to have taken place. That an assistant, allegedly, of Keve Studios and or Keve Productions, someone that represents or assists, is said to have contacted someone in the Hart camp. Tell them about this interview. Let them know that some things in it are damaging, and allegedly offer to keep it quiet. That's what I say, Jennifer. How do we know it might not just be settled out of court? So that, let's just say, more things don't come out. You think it's going to be a long, drawn-out case like Cardi B? Like back and forth with interrogatories, with just moving the dates. And tea is expensive these days. I get your point, Joanne. At what cost, you're saying? Getting the tea? Wow. Once more, right now, these are allegations. They have to be proven in a court of law, correct? Let's see. '27. The cease and desist letter also advised Kebe that Hart and Shakes were party to the NDA, that Shakes' participation in the interview was a violation of the NDA, and that Kebe's publication of the interview would constitute intentional interference with contractual relations, in addition to the various other criminal and torturous conduct that Kebe had engaged in up to that point. What is this? Why is this coming out now? Old School says, LaDonna, sounds like TashaK and Shakes crossed their T's and dotted their I's. TK needs to stay out of court. Vicky says, this isn't tea. This absolutely makes no sense. Pay that girl her back pay. Kevin Hart, now that extortion. I don't know what happened. You read number 28. Okay, here's 28 right there. So you can see it, all of it. Wait a minute. Hit the wrong button. On December 22nd, 2022, Kebe advised Hart's representatives that she would, in fact, be publishing the interview. That evening at approximately 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Kebe published the interview on her website, TashaK.live or TashaKLive.com. specifically at the link TashaKLive.com, charging viewers a $12 per month subscription fee in order to access and view the interview. Now we get to the cause of action. First cause of action: civil extortion against all defendants. 29. Plaintiffs hereby incorporate by reference paragraphs 1 through 28, inclusive, as if fully set forth herein. 30. California courts recognize a private right of action for civil extortion under California Penal Code sections 518 and 519. 31. The act of contacting an individual and threatening to make public statements about them in order to induce payment of money is extortion pursuant to California Penal Code sections 518, 519. 32. The statement by Kebe's representative that the interview would be published if Hart did not pay constitutes extortion as defined by California Penal Code sections the same. As a direct and proximate result of the acts described above, plaintiffs have been damaged in an amount to be proven at trial. 34. Defendants extortionate threats were done with oppression, fraud, and malice, with the intention of depriving plaintiff Hart of his personal liberty, property, or legal rights, and otherwise causing injury, and such actions were despicable conduct that subjected plaintiffs to unjust hardship in conscious disregard of plaintiffs' rights, such that the plaintiffs are entitled to recover punitive and exemplary damages in addition to all the actual statutory damages to which plaintiffs are entitled in order to set an example and deter such conduct. Second cause of action: breach of contract against Shakes. 35. Plaintiffs hereby incorporate by reference paragraphs 1 through 34, inclusive, as if fully set herein. Plaintiffs. 36. Plaintiffs and Shakes are parties to the NDA, which is supported by valid consideration, including but not limited to Hart's payment of $90,000 to Shakes. So I wonder, is that above and beyond what is expected that he pays her? I'm just wondering. $37. Plaintiffs have performed all of the terms, conditions, covenants, and promises required to be performed by them under the NDA, except those terms, conditions, covenants, and promises, if any, which Shakes prevented plaintiffs from performing. Don't you just love going over these legal documents? Shakes has breached the NDA by disclosing information and or making allegations that would necessarily entailed disclosure of information defined as confidential information under the NDA, including statements regarding personnel and employment matters at Heartbeat and or other Hart-affiliated companies, and statements regarding Hart's interactions with his family members. 39. As a direct and proximate result of Shakes' material breaches of the NDA, plaintiffs have suffered damages, including without limitation, in the principal sum of $90,000 that Hart paid as consideration under the NDA, in addition to further damages in an amount according to proof at trial. So, it does seem that the $90,000 or the promise of $30,000 over 3 years would be above and beyond and specific to this NDA, this promise in this NDA of confidentiality. Third cause of action: intentional interference with contractual relations, this one against Kebe. 40. Plaintiffs hereby incorporate by reference paragraphs 1 through 39 inclusive as if fully set forth herein. 41. At the time of the interview, Kebe was aware that the plaintiffs and Shakes were parties to the NDA, with Kebe specifically asking about and Shakes specifically confirming that she and the plaintiffs were parties to the said agreement. 42. After the interview, Kebe was further advised that plaintiffs and Shakes were parties to the NDA, that the subject matter of the interview necessarily constituted confidential information as defined by the NDA, and that publication of the interview would constitute interference with the NDA. Let me just look. 43. Despite being fully aware of plaintiff's contractual relationship with Shakes under the NDA, Kebe published the interview. After undertaking the independently wrongful conduct of making the extortionate threats described herein. 44. As a direct proximate result of Kebe's conduct, plaintiffs have suffered damages in the amount according to proof, including without limitation not less than $90,000 Hart paid as consideration under the NDA, in addition to the damages in further amounts according to the proof at trial. 45. The actions of Kebe in intentionally interfering with plaintiffs and Shakes' contractual relationship under the NDA were done with oppression, fraud, and malice, with the intention of depriving plaintiffs of their personal liberty, property, or legal rights, and otherwise causing injury. Such actions were despicable conduct that subjected plaintiffs to unjust hardship in conscious disregard of plaintiffs' rights, such that plaintiffs are entitled to recover punitive and exemplary damages in addition to all the actual and statutory damages to which plaintiffs are entitled in order to set an example and deter such conduct. I think we should stop here at the beginning of the fourth cause of action. And because this is the length that it is, I'm going to continue reading it and covering this, through the next several, I would imagine, at least next to broadcast. Hopefully we can finish it up tomorrow. I expect to. Now that I know the contents and maybe how long it's going to take. What do you think? Is this hands down? We have to wait and see. That's my opinion. Everything hasn't come in yet. We have to listen carefully to the detail of the complaints and the responses, because there will be a response to each allegation, I would expect. Let me look at some of your comments. Old School says, I'm looking at Kevin Hart sideways. Yes, listen carefully. Great show, Vicky Black. Thank you so much. Jennifer Love Spears said, I honestly doubt that a lawyer that represents a celebrity would accuse someone of extortion if they didn't have proof that that person, TK, was in on it. It's a serious allegation. It's a criminal allegation. It's not civil matter. It's criminal. And LaDonna Brooks says, wow, the girl didn't get no raise. No. Jennifer says, I came in late, so did the former assistant work for him for 3 years at a salary of $30,000 per year? No. That $30,000 per year was related to the NDA and confidentiality agreement as a guarantee. I think that's the way you could say it. Because she was paid $30 per hour. So on an average, if a person works full time, I think it's 2,000, let's say 80 hours a year, or 2,020 hours, something like that. Her salary would have been at least $60,000 per year. Eyes getting heavy. Yours too. It's midnight. Exactly. And I've been on, well, short of, I think 15 seconds. There it is. It's midnight. And I've been on 1 hour, 59 minutes and 15 seconds. So 2 hours to be exact. Yeah. It's time. It's midnight. If I get a good night's rest, I can come back early and get to this. It's a lot to cover, and I can imagine listening, which I have only listened to maybe a couple of people so far, and not to everything that they've said. Yeah. I will come back. There was one clip that I wanted to play from. And it is rather detailed. Yeah, it is. These are legal documents, and you can tell it's all legal jargon. It is. I can imagine it's how does a lawyer get through 500 pages in one night? I guess it's the same way, you know, anyone in the profession, they throw books at you. I've had to, speed read things and go through things, documents, and it's a lot. Yeah. Well, that does it for me. Big bear hugs go out to all the Grizzlies. I appreciate you. I'm glad you hung out with me tonight here in the Bear Cave. We will come back and continue with this. Please join me if you like for mocha, messy mocha in the morning. That will be Friday, won't it? It will be Friday. New Year's Eve is just around the corner. Sunday. 2 more days, basically, because we're into, 2 more days before New Year's Eve. It's the 29th now. Vicky says, all he had paid was his assistant money toward his lawyer fees. Kevin Hart didn't remember not to do anything you don't want anyone to know. Dummy. Take care. Yes. Yes. But now it's time to say goodnight. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm Teddy.
Perfect.